I am wanting to give you some information about how to interpret all the feedback you were just looking at in your Y independence task. Above the rubric lines, of course, is your writing, and there will be some comments for most of you off to the right-hand side, so you'll want to look at those. But once you get down to the rubric, here's what you are seeing. There's this top line about selection of evidence. What I'm scoring there is which items you chose to talk about in which paragraph. And so you'll have a score for your selection of evidence in paragraph 1, in paragraph 2, and in paragraph 3. What's key to note about the selection of evidence is that I asked for you to please include 2 to 3 items in each paragraph. 2 items in a paragraph is great. It's perfectly fine. That's going to be a 4.5, which is a 92% or an A minus. If you want a 5 for a given paragraph, you need to have 3 appropriate items chosen. And your evidence must fit in the paragraph category. So if you're talking about the Boston Massacre in paragraph 2, which is supposed to be about colonial self-government, then it doesn't count. Okay, so there's that. Your scores for paragraph 1, 2, and 3 for selection of evidence are then averaged together, and they will become one third to be exact, of your final score on this assignment. Then we see the second line, the explanation of evidence line. This one is counting a little heavier because this is where you make meaning out of the evidence that you selected. Again, you'll see you have a score for paragraph 1, paragraph 2, and paragraph 3. This was certainly the area where most of you had more difficulty. It is important within your paragraphs to define the items. So if you talk about natural rights in paragraph 1, you do need to say what natural rights are. However, if saying what natural rights are or defining whatever you're talking about is that's the only thing you do before moving on to the next topic, that's going to be a 2 or a 3. You'll notice in 2 or 3, it talks about that you're mostly summarizing the evidence or that you're partially explaining but still contains some summarizing of evidence. Defining what a given item is within the paragraph is summarizing. You do need to do that. However, it's also necessary for you to go on to explain how this evidence matches the claim. And remember, our claim is there were lots of reasons why the colonists wanted to declare independence. So you're going to have to talk in each paragraph about each piece of evidence you chose to explain how or why it motivated the colonists to want to be independent. So let's take our natural rights example again, right? That would belong in paragraph 1, ideas about the government and the way things should work. You're going to define what natural rights are, but then you also have to say, so what was the problem then? Why did colonists want to declare independence? What did natural rights have to do with their desire for independence? Explanations that simply say things like, there was this law, and here's what the law said, which would be summarizing, and this made the colonists mad. That is relevant analysis that is overly general. So that would score a 4, right? It's still being very general. In order to earn all of your points in a given paragraph for this explanation of evidence, you're going to need to talk about what the item is, what it had to do with the colonists wanting independence, specifically what was going on. Okay? Explanation of evidence, as I said, is the more important part. So you'll see that it counts as 2/3 of your final score. Right? So what I'm doing to get this final score that's down here on the bottom is I'm taking your average score from paragraph 1, 2, and 3 selection of evidence, and I'm getting those scores using these percentages in the top line here. And then I'm taking your average score from paragraph 1, 2, and 3 for explanation of evidence, but I'm adding that one in twice. Then I'm dividing this total by 3 in order to get an overall average score on the assignment. Please note that's a percentage out of 100 score. So if you're in the 50s, that's a failing grade. If you're in the 60s, that's a D. In the 70s is in the C range. In the 80s is in the B range. The very, very few of you who are in the 90s would be somewhere in the A range. These scores have not been entered into PowerSchool yet. You're going to have some time today to go back into your document one more time. Look at your feedback from me again now that you understand what exactly I'm looking for and what all your feedback means, and work on revising these body paragraphs. You need to resubmit them. Everybody must improve and resubmit them by Monday at the latest. Ideally, they will be done before you leave class today.